Welcome back to the Elevate podcast. We're here to help founders elevate their game to the next level. I'm joined. I'm Sean Malone, one of the co-hosts, joined by Simon Severino and Neil Fairmont. How you doing, boys?
We are good this week. Thank you very much. Enjoying the renaissance of summer here in Portugal.
The renaissance of summer. Simon, what's a win today?
Always great to see you guys. Being here is a win already, and it's been a great week so far. It's exciting. Markets are excited, clients are excited. Happy to be here.
Today's the day. They're announcing the Fed rate dropping, right? That's what they're supposed to be announcing. And what's it going to do for the market, Simon?
The market expects a 25 basis points cut. 98% of the market is positioned for that. So if the 2% happens, the opposite happens. That's the exciting part.
Nice. How's it going to affect the crypto market?
Bitcoin is unaffected
question.
by it, and the rest I don't care about.
Okay, fair enough. Well, today we're diving into a topic that everybody wants to talk about. Actually, Neil, what's a win for you? Let me do that first before we get into it here.
Just real quick, I've just been asked to work on a video promo edit for a client that I've been working with for a while. So this is something near and dear to her heart. So yeah, it's quite important to me to get this.
Is
right.
that like
So
a sizzle, like a sizzler video, like a sizzle reel of sorts?
Just a new project that she's embarking on and wanting to get people to encourage them to do a certain task as part of the call to action. So it's a video promo for that. So
is that a one-off thing that people can pick up from you, or is that kind of just part of a package you sell?
That's a one-off thing. So
okay.
People can. I do video editing packages for people. So yeah, anything that they want, really, I can help them with.
So if you're listening and you need a sizzle reel, you might want to contact Neil because he's the man. All right, let's get into it today. We're going to talk about AI and specifically, what was the title, Simon? Sorry, I didn't write
How
it down.
AI actually enhances your business.
How AI actually enhances your business, because that's really, really important. And we're going to kind of talk about a different angle here, kind of like for the mental health perspective a bit. So question number one, coming over you to Simon, how can a new founder avoid feeling overwhelmed by the speed of AI innovation and the pressure to keep up?
I want to share something that I shared in the Sprint Club. OpenAI shared this with the world, which is, let me find it, it's here, which is a table of how people are currently using ChatGPT. And this is the number one reason for burnout. And it will enhance burnout if you use it like this. So if people are just listening, you see that most people use it to basically just look up stuff like they would use Google search in the past, or to create silly images. That's what they're using it for. And then
is there a percentage? Is there a percentage of people that do it that way?
Yes,
you know
you see all the percentages in here. I'm sharing all the percentages right now.
Yeah.
You can make a screenshot and look at it. But the point is that 99% for people who are only listening to this, 99.9% of these activities are low strategic, low quality activities. So you are basically just wasting your time, but you are feeling top of the spear because you're using AI, but you're actually just fumbling around, absolutely wasting your time. If you're running a business, you should do the opposite, which we will cover over the next 30 minutes, which is how to actually use AI to move your business forward, to help your clients, to make them happier, to make them bring their friends over, to make them stay longer. And 99% of the people are using ChatGPT to create slop, to search, and to create images, and they are not in the business of editing images. So, and that's ChatGPT. Now you might say, well, but that's the mass market. The smart people are on Claude. I would love to see the Claude version of that, but we're still talking, this is the bulk of the users of AI.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Neil, what would you say? How can a new founder, avoid feeling overwhelmed by the speed of AI innovation and the pressure to kind of keep up?
It's similar to what Simon said. I think I see the same thing. People are coming to me and saying, "How can I use AI to generate more video content, to create more social posting and things like that?" And they're just approaching it the wrong way. And I think one of the things that's going to differentiate people in the future is to be able to be more efficient in prompt engineering. And the prompt engineering piece, which we'll come on to later, is really how to get the best out of the AI tools. It doesn't matter whether you're using ChatGPT or Claude. If you don't actually know how to get the responses and verify those responses that you're getting, because AI can still hallucinate, as they call it, where it gives you like crazy answers. So in order for people to keep up, they should stop doing the mundane and just asking the basic things and really just start to learn about how to manipulate and get the best out of the AI bots that they're using by using effective prompt engineering.
Yeah, I love that. So again, I think just like kind of riffing on what Simon and Neil both said. Number one, Simon just showed you the statistics. Most people are using AI kind of like a Google search right now to solve simple problems and things that might be a little bit meaningful, but won't actually like enhance your business, right? And if you want to avoid feeling overwhelmed with AI, just having the mind piece to know that 90 some percent of people you're using it like that, there's a big room of development so you're not behind the curve. So I think like just knowing you're not behind the curve yet is okay. And then what I start to see is like the first layer is using it kind of like a Google search. The second layer dives into kind of these things called agents where you can actually get them to do different things. And so I think one of the things that I always think about when it comes to AI is I treat it almost like another human being. And I treat it like a very, very intelligent human being. And if I have a problem with my business, I would go to AI and ask AI, like, how would I actually solve this problem as like a Google search? And then it will kind of start to prompt you to drive you down for like maybe building an agent or doing something else. So one of the second ways that you could use this is use AI as like almost another person where you're having a conversation with almost a mentor for it to give you some suggestions to like do things to grow your business. And that will probably help you to feel less overwhelmed and able to keep up. So number one, know that you're not behind. Number two, just start using it more. Find an expert. I love what Neil said about the prompt engineering. I believe prompt engineers are going to be one of the most fruitful, paid, highest paid people on earth here shortly, just simply because they can create prompts that do crazy cool things. Next question here is what healthy boundaries should founders set when integrating AI into their business so it supports them instead of consumes them? Neil.
Don't expect AI to do everything for you. I guess is the first thing. I think people get the idea now because of AI is super intelligent, right? And it's got the ability to call on all kinds of information. In fact, anything that's been published, it can reference and so on. I think there is a reliance too much on people sort of offloading everything to AI. So examples would be writing emails, writing posts, writing all kinds of summaries and details and things like that, and just accepting the responses that you get from AI without actually verifying what you're reading. So I think people are putting too much emphasis on, oh, AI is intelligent enough, it's better than me, it knows my business better than I do, I'm just going to prompt something, accept the response, don't really verify it and send it out. And this is why you're getting this, as we spoke about it just at the beginning of this show, AI slop, which is the world that's been flooded with similar sounding content that you can instantly recognize now that it's been written by AI, because it uses phrases that you typically wouldn't use in your business. It's not relatable to you. So again, going back to, you have to really carve out how AI is representative of your brand and your business, so it starts to think, work, and actually sound like you. And that does take a little bit of time and effort to do that, but just don't go in there and accept the whole thing.
Yeah, brilliant answer. Simon, over to you. What healthy boundaries should founders set when integrating AI into their business so it supports them instead of consumes them?
Start with, you remember circle thing? I have a boundaries of 4 things today that I should do, and I don't do the rest. So that's the first boundary. Still the one that we discuss every time. Like limit your attention to the few things that are high strategic and that really move your business forward. From there, now we plug AI onto it. So instead of going to a course about it or to try new things that your buddy said are cool, stay with your 4 things of today and now play with AI to get moving faster, to break through blockages. I don't know if I shared with you guys, I asked Fixer AI because my obstacle is I forget people. And so I asked Fixer AI, who is now basically my virtual assistant. And I said, because there is also Michelle, who is my assistant, but she's a person. This is an actual virtual assistant because it's an AI, it's a software. And I said, who wanted to work with us, but ended up not working, and I should reconnect with? And it gave me a name. It says, oh, you should call Ronan. And I literally forgot who that person was, but it made a draft in my Gmail, and I did send out the draft. A few hours later, Simon, I was hoping that you reconnect because we are actually ready to sprint in October, and I hope you still have capacities on your team. So we reconnect, he books a time, and then in that session, we picked the start date for their sprint, which ended up being even before October. So it's next week. And so they sent already $27,000 onto our bank account, and their sprint is being onboarded right now. So that one thing made $27,000 difference.
Yay!
Euros, which is, I don't know, 30K in dollars difference. That's how you should use it, right? Do whatever is your core right now. Who am I here to serve? Who needs my help? What am I trying to solve right now? And now you use that with AI. I think that's the antidote to being overwhelmed, because now you are doing whatever is right to do for you right now, just with that extra help that is this super brain on top of it that remembers
Could I
everything.
just,
That is a $27,000 example of how to use AI with a healthy boundary. So if you didn't hear that, rewind this and go watch it again, because Simon, that story is fire, and that's probably paid for every single one of your memberships and every AI tool that you have for the next like however many years, right? So that's amazing. New congratulations. I think that's super cool. The framework I'm pulling out from what the two of you guys said was number one, have an objective or a goal before you start talking to AI. That's really helpful. Number two, one of the things that I always do is about once every 6 months now, I do a time study. And my time study is just basically like what I do every 15 minutes. So I have a spreadsheet with like 7 o'clock, 7:15, 7:30, 7:45. And all I do is I scribe in what I'm actually doing during that time. After 2 weeks, I review it and I compile all that data and I say, what's taking me the most time? And then now, how can I use AI to reduce that time? That would be my goal. Like that's one example of how you can use AI with a healthy boundary and setting like an objective or a goal. So time studies are a good one. And the last one that I think kind of goes along with what Simon said is when you're using AI, the idea here is for it to not consume you. Don't try to go give it a whole elephant to eat. Rather, give it one bite of the elephant to eat. And what I mean by that is just simply, hey, I wish it would book all my calls for me. Okay, cool. Well, let's see if it can actually create a message that's compelling enough to get an engagement. And so maybe we start with a smaller goal, looking at the bigger picture, and then we use AI as kind of a companion to grow down that path so you can develop or build a framework that you can use over and over and over again. So that's kind of what I would say for when you're integrating it into your business. Start small, aim small, have an objective, right? And then let AI kind of like guide you down the path of what you need to do. Because sometimes I've even had experiences where it's like, hey, let's go build this AI agent that does all these things, that use all these tools. And I never got there without starting with like, hey, can you write a good message or not? Right. Okay. Next. Yeah.
Mention one quick thing, real quick, just on Simon's point as well. So there was an article a couple of weeks ago. Salesforce had basically made a number of people redundant in their customer service team. I don't know whether you heard about this. And the reason why is that they had identified some inefficiencies. They had over 100 million in warm leads that hadn't been followed up. So that was a huge undertaking for people to actually go and follow that up. There was inefficiencies identified in their business, so they replaced that component with AI. So they were dedicating, to your point again, using one specific task and dedicated AI to go and follow up these warm leads that they were basically potentially $100 million, available to them that they weren't following up. So they basically got AI to do that on the behalf. Now, unfortunately, people lost their jobs as part of that, but it was too much of a humongous task in order to do that with people. So again, identify inefficiencies and maybe plug that gap with AI.
Yeah, and I think if you guys remember what Marie Mack said, when she was on her show, I think like a couple weeks ago, one of the things she said is inside of her company, if you're at the point where you can bring this person into your world or change their focus to this, is make them an AI specialist for your company and then actually task them with a KPI every week of how do we integrate more AI into our business. I think everybody by now knows that AI isn't going anywhere. So if you don't start using it, you're going to get left behind. I think that's just the bottom line here at this point nowadays. And it's just only going to get better, right? And I think there's a lot of humongous, great use cases coming for AI where it'll allow you to be more focused. And Neil, you hit on a thing that I think people freak out about, like AI is going to take my job. Well, actually, this might take the current job you have, but it's going to create 10 million more types of jobs that you can take in the future. So it's just, you have to change. That's the one of the big thing that I would always remember is like change is inevitable. So we have to embrace it. Most people hate change, but if it's inevitable, we need to embrace it and then we'll be good, right? All right, question 3. Back to you, Simon. In what ways can AI actually reduce stress and burnout if used the right way?
Today, I was walking and talking to AI. So on my phone, I have Gemini because I can talk back and forth to Gemini. So, and Claude doesn't do that with me. So I do it with Gemini. And when I walk, usually I have some fog in my head. I'm thinking hard about something, maybe even subconsciously. So overnight, my brain was working on this watch list of 40 stocks that I'm watching. And because that's my investable universe. And I do calculations and spreadsheets and rankings against them. And so my brain is basically all the time working on that. So I go on this walk here in Schönbrunn Park and I feel like foggy in my head. And I try to express that foggy question because it means the brain is occupied with something, right? And so I try to express that and I start talking to Gemini. I say, Gemini, of these 40 companies, and I list them. I said, which one is actually using AI already right now to be more productive? And it says, well, I don't know how to measure that. I say, okay, go through these 40 companies. And while I'm talking, the fog is reduced and I'm getting more clarity about what is even the question that I have in my head. And because it's a back and forth, I'm clarifying meter after meter of walking. My head gets clearer. And now my question became more clear. I said, go through these 40 and divide revenue by number of employees over the last 3 quarters and find me the ones where it's going up versus the ones where it's not going up. So revenue per employee. That's what the question in my head that was working around and making me kind of foggy. And so now I had that question, the fog was gone, and I had results. And I realized of those 40, oh my God, Shopify is the one that has the biggest spike. And then Harvia has the lowest spike. And in the end, it was obvious. But because I didn't have that clarity and that data, my head was foggy. And so in my last 20 years as an entrepreneur, it's the amount of fogginess and because you're stuck when you're foggy and the energy is down. You don't feel like building something, shipping something. And so when I see that fog, now I have one more tool to deal with that. I walk in nature, that in itself is healsome. And I talk this back and forth with this strategic partner who is like an analyst, and I can talk stuff back and forth. It clarifies. I move on. I send myself a quick note, and then I finish my walk. And when I came here to the desk then and started working, my head was clear. So this is one way I use it.
Yeah, I love that. Neil, over to you. In what ways can AI actually reduce stress and burnout for founders if used the right way?
So I'll give you an example for something that I was working on or have been working on. So I've not really done a ton of webinars myself. I've helped people produce webinars, I've helped people host webinars, but in terms of actually delivering a webinar myself and putting a framework together, topics, run of shows and things like that, that's something I hadn't done a ton of. So I was getting stressed about it because I'd promised that that I was going to do some webinars, set myself some goals, in terms of timeframes and calendar events and things like that. And then really started getting a little bit stressed about, well, I'm not actually 100% sure the running order of these shows, the topics I'm going to cover, and how I can make it sort of entertaining and also engaging for the audience with maybe some fun elements in there as well. So I just used AI as my sort of marketing coach, whatever you want to call it, to help me understand a little bit about how I could do that better. Learn from experiences of others. People have done great webinars in the past. It's got all this information available to you. And as long as you frame AI and tell it, you are my marketing consultant today, you are specialized in hosting and delivering, key webinars for this particular topic, insert your niche here, and then asked it to help me basically frame out my webinar run of show, the topics, who the type of people the webinar is good for, what types of things those people who join the webinars could potentially get from that, what value I'll be delivering, and then just going back and forward really helped reduce my overall stress level of thinking, well, yes, I can do this. I had the idea in my head. I just needed that little bit of clarification and verification from another party, somebody who's much more intelligent than me, to help me. Yes, I could have potentially picked up a phone and called one of you guys, but I know you guys are busy with things. So why not use the available tools to us to reduce that lot of stress? And things went well and I enjoyed doing them. So that's one way in a real use case that I used AI recently.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's amazing. All I would add to this conversation is like I think about like if you're a founder and you're just kind of you've been around, you've sold some stuff and you're kind of still like moving towards how do I really get the attention and distribution? Or maybe you're like, man, my product's not quite as good as it needs to be, or dang, I wish I could retain my members more, right? And so what I think about is this, like I always break it down by frameworks and big components. And so I think about like, what are the components of every business? I know Timon teaches this. I know Neil probably knows all of this stuff, but I'll just share it with you if you haven't heard this before. There's 5 components of every business. The first component's lead generation. Can you generate leads? Score this on a scale of 0 to 5 for your own business. Okay, so lead gen. Second one's lead nurture. Once you've got the lead, how do you nurture them? Score that on a 0 to 5 scale. Next one's conversion. Now you have the lead, you've nurtured them a bit. How is your conversion mechanism? Do you have a good sales process? If not, go buy Simon, buy all of his stuff. He's amazing. He's one of the best in the world at this, right? He'll help you with that part. Number 4, delivery fulfillment. How do you deliver or fulfill your products and services? And then the last component of a business is retention. Score those things on a scale of 0 to 5 for your business. Look at the lowest number that you scored, okay? And then take that one component into AI and say, yo, I need to fix my delivery and fulfillment in my business. Let's have a conversation. Can you help me with this? This is how you can start to compartmentalize and not get overwhelmed with, hey, AI just do everything. Like, no. Look at the components of your business, see which one needs a little bit more help than the rest. Start there. That's a starting point. That might be able to help you. That'll reduce a lot of stress because you know where to go and what to do. I also love what Simon said. He says, think about what AI is great at, right? Data. It can analyze data better than anything on earth at the moment, right? So that's one thing. Engineering. If you need to build some code, that's a pretty cool thing. Websites and so on and so forth, right? Just let it support you as a builder. All right. Next question here that we'll move into kind of the lightning round. What are the warning signs that a founder's relationship with AI might be negatively impacting their mental health? Ooh, good one, Simon. Over to you.
When they ship less. So founders are here to improve the world. You do it by improving the life of one person after the other, right? If your software helps somebody send more DMs or better DMs, actually, or then you're shipping, right? If I see your team not shipping, not improving on that over a few days, then I know, oops, we're stuck, right? We're stuck. What's going on? In my cases, I would avoid when I'm overwhelmed, I avoid the task. So if you look at my strategic calendar here, for a few days, I wasn't working on the book because I was overwhelmed. If it goes well, it goes really well. If I F it up, it goes very bad. And so that stresses me, right? And so unconsciously, I try to procrastinate to avoid it. And this is how you see that you are burning out, is you are not tackling the few things that really matter day by day. Maybe they are too big, then you have to make them smaller. Maybe you don't have the tools, the processes, then get the tools, right? You guys mentioned a ton of them in this episode.
Yeah, that's it, right? So, Neil, the great answer, Simon. That was flawless, dude. I was like in it with you. So, what are the warning signs that a founder's relationship with AI might be negatively impacting their mental health, Neil?
Wow. Well, obviously Simon's points are amazing. I would just say that you could probably take too much for granted in terms of what you're getting back from AI. So the responses that you get, if you're trying to find something or you're trying to use AI for a part of your business, AI may not give you all the answers that you particularly expect or want. So those could be a negative response to a part of your business. AI doesn't have feelings, not yet at least, so it doesn't know how that's actually affecting you. So you could potentially get yourself into a bad state by asking AI questions and then not really liking the responses. So take what you get from AI, depending on the type of question you're asking, of course. It's great for research, we know that. But there's certain things, particularly around, I don't know, I'm not going to go into them, but there's certain things that you shouldn't really be asking AI and maybe expecting the responses. So just take them with a pinch of salt, take a breath, and don't necessarily go down the rat hole of taking everything and basically, working through those things that AI is giving you and then just taking them as gospel and then, oh, I'm going to run with that. AI's told me to do this, because could be a negative spiral. So just verify what you're actually getting back before you take action.
The guys, the things that you're resonating with, I resonate on the same channel. The one thing that I'll share is that's always kind of helped me guide myself. I love Simon's. Here's my 4 things I'm focused on. I say it like this. My soundbite is keep the main thing the main thing. Okay, what does that mean? Well, what's the main thing? Hey, you're trying to build a business, 10 million, 100 million, 200 million, $1 billion, whatever. If that's the main thing, then think about, like, if I'm going to go in and use AI, does it lead to that direction or away from that direction, right? And if it doesn't go towards the main thing, then it's not the main thing, right? So that's the first thing that I always think about. Secondly, I love what Simon said. If you ever read that book, Eat That Frog, the concept of the book is write down the 5 hardest things that you have to do tomorrow and tackle the hardest one first. That's your frog. And you can use AI to help you go through those things, which I think is great. And then the last thing, like, to really answer this question here is, like, what might negatively impact somebody's mental health if they've used their valuable resources, which is time, energy, money, blood, sweat, and tears. Okay, those are your resources: time, energy, money, blood, sweat, and tears. If you've used too much blood, sweat, and tears, and you haven't gotten any money or time back, then you might be negatively impacted. And I think what happens sometimes is people start building these big AI systems, and it's completely distracted them from the main thing. So that's going the wrong direction in the first case. And then they're so invested in it with their time, energy, and money, blood, sweat, and tears that they can't stop. So I think also having like a limit. So a great example of one of the things that we were doing that recently, we stopped doing because of this exact thing, was our affiliate army. See, my VP had built me an affiliate army of now 7,500 people. And what we were doing is he spent an enormous amount of time building this incredible free software platform called Flowverse. And Flowverse was all AI driven, all everything ready to go. If you're a brand new affiliate, it's free. Join the program. You can kind of come in, use this amazing CRM to start running and winning with your DMs. And then when you make a deal, then you would just invest into like a flow chat account. So that's how we were teaching our affiliates to build their business. And what we found was that Flowverse AI tool was just too much. It was too much for the newest person. And so we ended up having to scrap the program. But it wasn't until Chris, my business partner, our CEO, came to me. He's like, dude, what's your timeline and what's your expected outcome? So I think those are the other 2 things that you got to remember is, like, if you are going to go play with an AI tool, figure out what the outcome is the main thing, and what's the timeline and the expectation you should get from that. And if you set those things before you go into the project, you'll never ever have a negatively impacting health side of things. Last couple of questions here, and we'll wrap this thing up for today. Simon, have you ever found yourself relying too much on AI to the point where it starts affecting your confidence or your creativity? How'd you get out of it?
I talk to AI all the time. That's how I use it. If it would be gone tomorrow, I would miss it, but nothing would be at risk or severely differently, right? Then Michelle and I would have to think much more, and I would have to use more time to research some things. But I want to build on something that Neil said. He said your expectations about AI are too high. I think that's important. So you will not build an incredibly fully automated anything this month. Forget it. Even highly technical teams, and Flowchat is a very highly technical team. You guys can build stuff. And so you are probably a 10 out of 10 in technical skills. Now, how many teams are a 10 out of 10? Most teams are probably, I don't know, a 4 out of 10. And so for them, these high expectations would be much too high. Probably they should just start bringing all the data together and connecting it to one AI that they trust, so that they have everything in one place, and so that the AI can actually become the trusted partner that learns with you and becomes more and more, less and less hallucinatory because it has more context. And now it becomes more and more actually helpful. And so connecting all the things together, like your Gmail and your calendar and your Zoom to your main AI, the one that you trust. And please do your due diligence. Don't trust all the teams. Most of them are not trustworthy. And so that's the one thing, bringing everything together. And when it is together, do not expect so much right now from it, but rather get going with it. So, for example, this was my conversation with Gemini, was which of these 40 companies, and those are the top 40. So out of the 500 best companies in the world, I'm only looking at the top 40. They are at 10 out of 10, all of them, in technical expertise. And only one, Shopify, had these results. So look at the numbers, not just what your buddies are saying or YouTubers are saying or we are saying, but look at the actual numbers. So this is the only company that I've seen, it's Shopify. It's the only company that 2 years ago, 2023, decided we're going full AI. And they're actually having this increase. This is revenue per employee and percentage change of revenue per employee. So the orange one is revenue per employee, and the green one is the percentage change. This is the only company that's clearly having results in 2025. A ton of other ones that said they would go full AI do not have these numbers. They are stagnant or even going down. And even Mercado Libre, who is a highly technical company, it's actually stagnant when you look at this thing. And they are launching AI-driven ads. So you say, I want my ad, boom, and AI launches the ad for you. So that's how technical they are, 10 out of 10. And they don't have that revenue increase per employee. So give it much more time. You are not you're not missing the train. The train is still kind of in the station and starting, and there are a few highly skilled teams that are actually crushing it. Shopify, Palantir being a few of those, maybe the Trade Desk. But most of us, we're still in time. Everybody is looking for their seat in the train.
Yeah, I love that. I think knowing that you're still on the tippy top of the tidal wave, you can still catch it and ride it. So, Neil, over to you. What's been have you ever found yourself relying too much on AI, almost to the point where it started affecting your confidence and your creativity? How'd you get out of it?
I went down the route or the rat hole of trying to automate too much stuff. So to Simon's point, AI is great, but I'm not a coder, right? I'm not an engineer. That's what you do, obviously. And for me, not knowing exactly what it was getting wrong was just taking too much of my time. So it's taking too many cycles of debugging and so on, because AI isn't perfect. It will spit out code and automation flaws that aren't going to enhance your business at all. It's just gonna just take up too much of your time. So that's what happened to me, and I decided, look, I just need to identify the inefficiencies and things that I don't want to do on a day-to-day basis that I can potentially automate, but isn't going to take me a long time to do it. Either somebody's already done it, or I don't have to learn too much to do the code. So basically, I took a step back and said, look, there's certain tasks that I know it can do well, but there always has to be a human partner alongside your AI agent, automation friend, whoever you want to call it, to do the task that you need to do. So stepping back from that helped me a lot. So yeah, going down the rat hole of trying to automate too much and basically taking up too much time. Effectively, you're trying to automate everything to save yourself time, and you end up taking too much time to do it in the first place. So
yeah, makes sense. I'm just going to hit on what Simon says really quick for the wrap up here. I think what's interesting is, like Shopify said, we're going 100% AI. Most businesses don't have the capacity or the resources to say that big of a statement and then go in that direction. And so I think like where people start to rely too much on AI, where that gets them in a bit of trouble, is if they make that statement like what Shopify did and they don't have the available resources or the team to go down and execute on those things, and they take the eye off the ball revenue, right? And they see their revenue start to decline, but now their whole team effort is over here trying to build this thing, and it's going to be our savior. Remember, you never want to have one thing that's fully dependent for your business success or not. And so if you are going to go into the AI revolution, one of the things that I would share, and I am very, very loud about this within my organization, specifically with like my VP and his team. I tell them things like, hey, like we do want to get there, but we have to do it step by step. So what's the first step that we can take to execute with AI so we're not 100% dependent on this thing working or not working? If it fails, who cares? We can still win, right? And so I think that's the big idea here, is to look at the capacity and the resources that you have within your team, your systems, your business, everything that you got, and then say, what's one little small bite of an elephant that we can chew off here and use AI in a controlled test environment? Because if you can have a controlled test environment, you can get it to work, and then you can be hands-free on it. So that's kind of what I would say there. All right, let's do just a rapid round of takeaways today. Simon, what's your big takeaway from today's session?
I'm inspired by Neil's expectations management reminder, right? We expect too much from AI right now. And I think on a global scale, that's true. We saw it. The top 40 have just one actual who's crushing it. And on a local scale, if you want, all our teams listening right here, let's not push those expectations at a 10 out of 10. Let's start at a 4 out of 10. Let's make it our daily like helpful co-worker and scale it from there.
Yep. Nice. Neil, what's your big takeaway from today?
I think what you mentioned, Sean, around the 5 elements around the business, if you're hitting a 0 or a 1 in any of those, and try and use AI to help you identify some inefficiencies and do better. So that's my takeaway.
Yeah, for sure. My big takeaway is just using AI more of like a trusted advisor or companion, kind of like Simon talked about with his just walking and with Gemini and having a conversation with it back and forth and back and forth. I think it's great for having time and space for that. So I will say, like, if that's something you guys want to do as you're listening as a founder, like carve some time out in your calendar. Maybe you have a dog that you got to walk every morning. Maybe you got to go out with your kids. Maybe you got to do something where you can get outside and walk around or walk on treadmill or whatever. But like, I think having that trusted advisor piece and using AI for that will help you to really grow any type of business. And so that's going to bring us to the end of today's session. Thank you so much for being here for the Elevate podcast, where we're here to help founders lift and elevate to the next level. If you have any questions or comments or concerns, please drop them in the comment below. Don't forget to share this out to those people that need to learn more about AI and they're feeling burned out and stressed. This is the podcast for them. Make sure and share that. And of course, hit that like button, and can't wait to see you on the next one. Ciao for now.
Avoid trying to do thousands of things that doesn't work. We have 274 templates for your business success. Reach your ambitious goals with one-on-one sprint coach. We double your revenue in 90 days.
What if your business would run well even when you are on vacation? Discover how 1,600 business owners have regained their freedom using the Strategy Sprints blueprints, how they enjoy living their dream and watching their business scale. Get the exact checklists they use to go from stressed to fulfilled using the Strategy Sprints method. Order your copy of Strategy Sprints 12 Ways to Accelerate Growth for an Agile Business on Amazon today. And if you love it,